Are you tired of your social studies lessons being all about memorizing names and dates? Would you rather learn about history by hearing exciting stories and going on fun adventures? Well, then come with me as we travel through time to explore all the amazing events that have shaped our world from the very beginning. I'm here to make social studies come alive for you, and we'll have so much fun, you won't even realize you're learning today. Let's start at the very beginning with the birth of Earth. Do you remember when you were little and you were playing with your toys and everything was made out of Legos? Well, in a way, that's how the Earth was made. It was formed out of smaller pieces combining together over billions of years. In the very beginning, there wasn't just one Earth. There were tons of rocks floating around in space. But eventually, gravity pulled those rocks together and they started to stick to each other and form a planet. This big ball of rock that we call Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. That's a lot of years. And to put it into perspective, if you took every single Lego set ever created and stacked them on top of each other, it would still fall short of the age of the Earth. But wait, don't freak out yet, don't worry. The Earth has had plenty of time to cool down since then. After all, we can walk outside without burning our feet, right? Not only that, but the Earth is actually a little bit cooler now than it was when it first formed. So you know how when you take a cake out of the oven, it's super hot, but then once it cools down, you can eat it without burning your mouth? Well, something similar happened with the Earth. It was really hot when it first formed, but over time it cooled down. Scientists think that the Earth will continue to cool like this for millions and millions of years. So maybe in a few million years you could go outside and sunbathe without getting a sunburn. Earth is also a bit bigger now than it was when it first formed. You see, back then, there were all these meteor showers happening where rocks from outer space would smash into the Earth and add more material to it. These meteor showers are still happening, but they've slowed down a lot, so the Earth isn't getting much bigger now. But it's likely that the Earth will continue to grow larger thanks to meteor showers until it reaches its maximum size in about 100 billion years. If you want to know what happens after that, well, you'll have to watch another video, because that's way too much science for one day. Before life began on Earth, there were some major changes that had to happen first. You see, early Earth didn't have any oxygen in its atmosphere, which is a problem because humans need oxygen to breathe. And there was also no ozone layer, which is a part of the atmosphere that protects us from the sun's harmful rays. But over time, things began to change. See, tiny organisms called bacteria began to appear on Earth, and they started to do something incredible. They began to perform photosynthesis, which is the process of using sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to create energy. As they performed photosynthesis, they released oxygen as a waste product. At first, this didn't seem like a big deal. But over millions of years, all this oxygen started to build up in the atmosphere, and eventually it reached a critical point. Suddenly, the Earth had enough oxygen in its atmosphere for humans and other animals to breathe. Also, the ozone layer started to form, which protected life on Earth from the sun. So, thanks to these tiny bacteria, we were able to evolve and live on the Earth. Okay, now that the Earth was just the right temperature and had an atmosphere suitable for life, it was finally ready for the next step, life itself. Before we get into talking about the very first living things on Earth, let's talk about cells, because all life on Earth is made up of them. Cells are the basic unit of structure and function in living things. Everything in your body, from your hair to your toenails to the food you eat, is made up of cells. And the smallest living thing that exists, a single cell organism, can be as small as a soccer ball. But wait, if everything is made of cells, does that mean that humans and soccer balls are alive? Well, not quite. For something to be alive, it needs to be made up of at least one cell. Need energy, grow, reproduce, respond to its environment, and adapt over time. So that tiny soccer ball-sized organism is alive, but your soccer ball is not. Alright, now that we know about cells, let's get back to life on Earth. The first living things on Earth were single-cell organisms. The earliest evidence we have of life on Earth is from about 3.5 billion years ago. The first organisms were probably similar to bacteria and archaea, which are two of the three domains of life. The other domain of life is eukarya, which includes all organisms with cells that have a nucleus. Eventually, multicellular organisms began to evolve, and one of the first major groups of organisms were the algae, which are simple photosynthetic organisms that can be found in both salt and fresh water. Algae are still around today, and they play an important role in the ecosystem. They're one of the primary producers, which means they create their own food through photosynthesis and provide food for other organisms. After the algae came the first animals. The earliest animals were simple organisms that lived in the ocean. Over time, animals began to grow more complex, and eventually the first vertebrates appeared. Vertebrates are animals with a backbone, and the first vertebrates were fish. Fish were the first animals to evolve the ability to live in both fresh and salt water, and they quickly became one of the most successful groups of animals. But then something new happened. Some fish began to venture out of the water and onto land. This was a risky move, because land was a completely new environment, and there was no guarantee that they would be able to survive. But survive they did, and eventually they evolved into amphibians, which were the first animals to be able to live both on land and in water. And that's where we'll end today's lesson. Next time we pick up where we left off, and see what happens when the first reptiles evolve. Till then, I hope you've enjoyed our adventure through the history of life on Earth, and remember, if you want to keep learning, there's always more to discover. So keep exploring and asking questions. Who knows what you might find out? Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an exciting lesson. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below. We'd love to hear from you. There's a whole world of learning out there waiting for you. So keep exploring, and who knows what you might discover next.